Good evening and welcome to the Seneca Scout. We're a weekly news show that's going to bring you updates on the latest international, national, and local news, and also the going-ons here at Seneca Valley. I'm Nick.
My name is Parker.
And welcome to our first show. We start off with international news. As the coronavirus continues to spread, the economic impact of the virus is becoming clear. Chinese factories are being forced to stay closed to stop the spread of the virus. This is expected to have major impacts on world economies. Foxconn, the maker of iPhones, has temporarily converted its largest factory into a producer of masks. The motor industry is experiencing the effects of shutdowns, with halting car production outside of China due to the lack of parts. Chrysler is also talking of potentially suspending production in Europe due to lack of parts coming from China. We will keep you posted with updates as the story develops.
Wow, that's a scary story. But in other pressing global news, a tragic mass shooting has took place in Thailand in the northeastern province of Koran at a military base and ended in a nearby mall. A Thai soldier stole 2 short-barreled firearms and a machine gun with around 800 rounds of ammunition. The incident left 29 dead and 58 injured. Thailand police attempted to convince the gunner to turn himself in, even bringing in his mother to reason with him. However, the gunner was ultimately killed by police around 9 a.m. Sunday morning. Citizens gathered on Sunday at a vigil to mourn the dead.
It's a very depressing story, Parker, and our hearts go out to the victim's family. Now some national stories that take place a little bit closer to home. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders reigned victorious over the rest of the Democratic field, picking up 9 delegates in the New Hampshire primaries on Tuesday. Mayor Pete Buttigieg continued with a strong showing, placing second and picking up 9 delegates of his own. And Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar picked up momentum from a strong Saturday debate performance with 6 delegates. Former frontrunner Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren have fell in the polls, receiving 0 delegates and failing to pass a 10% voting threshold candidates will look for a strong showing in the Nevada caucuses on February 22nd, and they will continue to make their case to be the Democratic Party's nominee for the 2020 election.
I'm excited to see how things shape out. A recent lawsuit with Apple has exposed to the public that users who feel their phone is slowing might not just be imagining it. Last week, phone manufacturer Apple was fined 25 million euros by the French government for slowing down their older phones. Apple claims that their phones were slowed down in order to compensate for the degrading battery, but many users theorize that the actual reason was planned obsolescence in order to force users to update to a newer model. Apple has since implemented a feature to tell users when the performance of their phone has begun to slow.
It's a very interesting story, Parker. We should be vigilant about that. The Extreme Football League, or XFL, is back after WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon's 2001 campaign, where the XFL failed due to poor ratings and a tough financial situation. The XFL has just completed week 1 of their first season in 19 years. They started off strong, bringing in just an average of just under 3.3 million viewers, according to Sports Business Journal. And their game attendance reached a crowd of more than 17,000 fans, and this was likely due to their new rule changes on special teams, as the kickoffs are different, and the XFL teams now have the option to go for a 3-point play after scoring a touchdown. We are excited to see what the XFL can bring in the future.
Now, speaking of football, an ex-NFL player just won an Oscar, and here with the more information about him and some other stories from the Oscars is Claire Williams.
Thanks, Parker. From the gridiron to the silver screen, former NFL player Matthew A. Cherry won an Oscar last Sunday for the short animated film Hair Love. After starring at the University of Akron, Cherry played for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Cincinnati Bengals, Carolina Panthers, and the Baltimore Ravens from 2004 to 2007 when he walked away from football for good. He made the 7-minute animated short because he wanted to bring Black representation to animation. The short is about an African-American father attempting to do his daughter's hair, and it won the award for Best Animated Short, and in the acceptance speech, Cherry dedicated the award to the late Kobe Bryant. And other news from the Oscars, on Sunday, February 9th, South Korean film Parasite became the first non-English film to win the Oscar for Best Picture at the 92nd Academy Awards, as well as the first South Korean film to be nominated for any category. Out of the 12 foreign language films ever nominated for Best Picture, Parasite is the first to receive the award. Director Bong Joon-ho also accepted the awards for Best Director, Best International Feature Film, and Best Original Screenplay. While the film Parasite was the first non-English language film to win the award for Best Picture and made history by being the first film to win 4 Oscars in total, the 2020 Oscars still lack the diversity its audience craves for the rest of its nominations and awards. Cynthia Erivo, who played Harriet Tubman in the film Harriet, was the only person of color nominated this year, causing the Oscars to narrowly avoid the name Oscars So White that had spurred a cultural change in Hollywood nearly 5 years ago. Despite the renowned films directed by women such as Lulu Wang, Greta Gerwig, and Mati Drop, no women were nominated for the award for Best Director either. Despite the steps Hollywood has taken since 2016, after no people of color were nominated for the second year in a row, the Oscars continue to fail short of creating a more inclusive production.
Thank you, Claire, for that excellent recap from the Oscars. Now we will move on to more local news from your own Seneca Valley Raiders.
Awesome. Well, the Seneca Valley varsity wrestling team recently took on some of the best competition in Pennsylvania in the PIAA AAA Dual Team Championships. The varsity wrestling team was able to defeat State College at a score of 34-29. However, they fell in the quarterfinals to Nazareth, who went on to become the champion at a score of 50-10. In the consolation bracket, Seneca Valley proceeded to take on Bethlehem Catholic, but unfortunately fell by a score of 33-31 in the consolation semifinals. A great performance from our Raiders, and good luck to the wrestling team in the upcoming individual championship.
Thank you, Parker. Keeping with the theme of Seneca Valley news, Matthew Ditmore had the opportunity to speak with some of the people behind the 2020 musical production of The Drowsy Chaperone. Here is what he was able to learn from this opportunity.
My name is Steven Santa, and I am the director of the Seneca Valley All-School Musical. We chose the Drowsy Chaperone mainly because it's so hilarious. We wanted to bring something that would be exciting for the audience to come see and kind of come in with no expectations of what they're going to view, and then be really, really surprised by how hilarious the show is.
My name is Amber Hugis, and I'm the stage manager for the musical. We meet every Saturday starting in January until the show goes up, and we just work on building the sets. So we start with a completely blank canvas, and we have a professional set designer who comes in and basically designs our set, and then we have to build it from scratch.
So set building entails building the set as you can see behind. It involves painting, it involves jeweling things, like it's a lot goes into it.
We are at set build today. We are obviously building the set. Currently I'm making some weird hair for a scary clown, and other people are building parts of the set.
What I'm doing for the show, I'm actually helping build the stage. So like an extension out here, we need a bigger stage for the show. So we're actually helping out build it out. And so like there's more room for them to perform, and it's closer to the audience. So it's more of like an illusion type of thing.
Well, Parker, I got to say that looks like a great experience. My sister's actually a lead in the musical, so I'm sure I'm going to see it many times.
Well, I'm excited to see it. It should be a good time.
In other SV news, on Monday, in Mrs. McMurray's biology classes listened to a guest speaker, Kira Wood, an expert on Huntington's disease. Her mother was diagnosed with Huntington's disease when she was about 8. She's now 22 years old and recently underwent genetic testing to find out that she has the disease. Now let's take a listen to learn more about Huntington's disease from Kira.
Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Huntington's disease, what Huntington's disease is, what causes it, the symptoms. This is a really good representation. This right here, this picture is a normal brain. This picture is a brain with HD, and you can literally see that deterioration firsthand. The absolute decay of neurons, and then just the decay of brain matter itself. And then that's obviously the lower picture is a brain scan from people who are alive. And you can see like all the normal functioning parts of the innermost parts of your brain in a normal person and a person with HD. HD affects the innermost parts of your brain. It's called the basal ganglia, and it basically controls all the functions of the disease. I told you about your muscle function, your motor function, your cognitive function.
Yeah, it is great that SV students get firsthand experience with these kinds of things. On February 4th, Governor Tom Wolf went to the Pennsylvania House of Representatives to give his annual 2020 budget address. This typical function of state government has had great impact for our own Seneca Valley Raiders since Governor Wolf announced that Seneca Valley School District will receive a $35,000 grant from the Pennsylvania Smart Grant Program. The grant program is an initiative to increase computer science and technology education among primary and secondary school students. The grant is being used to teach students from grades 3 to 6 key information about computer science and giving them a strong foundation to build upon as they continue their education.
Yeah. Well, Hayden Smith recently interviewed some of the people involved with the construction of the new Seneca Valley Aquatic Center. Here is Hayden and his discoveries.
Seneca Valley's new Aquatic Center is currently under construction and upon completion will be replacing the current swimming pool in the IHS. We talked to Seneca Valley's assistant superintendent to learn more about what kind of planning went into this process.
The planning for the new swimming complex has been going on for years. There have been parent and interest group meetings with students, with parents, and there was also, after that, a focus group that got together with phys ed teachers, parents, community, and there has been a great deal of planning going on, 2-3 years at least.
As previously mentioned, the new Aquatic Center will be replacing the current swimming pool. We spoke to Seneca Valley's athletic director to hear about some of the new center's improvements.
It is going to be larger, first off. Our current pool is 6 lanes, the new pool will be 8 lanes. The length of this pool will be 35 yards, which means that we're able to swim for 25 yards and then use the additional 10 yards for diving at the same time. We will be able to offer programming to the community that we can't currently offer right now just by logistics of the pool and the age. Physical education classes can benefit from it, from our community, from our swim teams, the local swim club, lots of ways that we can benefit.
So housing space right now is really small. So when they're building it right now, it's going to be really big. So that's going to be really nice. And then also the air quality in the pool right now is not the best. So they're going to fix that as well, and it's going to be amazing.
There will be public use for the new facility. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but we do want it to go beyond the boundaries of Seneca Valley and into the community. Maybe for swim lessons for senior citizens coming in and be able to use the facility. We'd like the facility to be used as often as possible.
When do we think it'll be finished? We anticipate the start of the 2021 school year.
And in the meantime, while the Aquatic Center is being built, a virtual tour of the future facility can be viewed under the Athletics and Activities Community tab on the Seneca Valley School District website. Reporting for the Seneca Scout, this has been Hayden Smith.
Well, that's a really interesting story, and I think that Aquatic Center is going to be beautiful once it's built.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And now, finally, in the YMCA Club Youth in Government, candidates Zach Donaldson and Parker Logue, me, made the campaign trek to Somerset High School yesterday. Leaving right after school, they met with many students in Somerset's Youth in Government program. Zach, running to be the biggest position in the program, Youth Governor, hopes to connect with delegates across the state and plans to start with Somerset High School. Parker is also running for a position, Speaker of the House, and hopes that getting this chance to converse with these delegates can give me the further insight on how to make youth in government better. This trip to Somerset is the first step into the world of campaigning for both me and Zach. So, Youth in Government is a YMCA-ran program that strives to get students across the state to speak their minds on legislation written by the students.
Well, Parker, I wish you and Zach luck on your campaigning, and well, thank you for watching, and tune in during the weekend, and we'll be here next week. I'm Nicholas Schuster.
I'm Parker Logue.
And we'll see you next time.